And we're live, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wasaga Beach Town Council on this beautiful, cloudy, gloomy day, but at least it's getting warmer. We'll call this meeting to order, and I'll look to Councillor DeLeo for the land acknowledgement. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. The town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge that waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Megwich. Moving on to item number 1.2, we have a new staff introduction this morning, our new library CEO, Christopher Blatch, and I'm going to turn it over to our CAO to introduce Christopher to everybody. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and please join me in welcoming the sharpest dressed person at this table, Mr. Christopher Blatch, as the new Director of Library Services and CEO with the Wasaga Beach Public Library. Indulge me as I read a bit of your background, and hopefully he doesn't get too red and embarrassed, but Christopher brings over 15 years of progressive leadership experience in public, academic, and school libraries, with additional experience in archives, museums, and with the Government of Canada. Most recently, he was the Director of Library Services at the Drumheller Public Library in Alberta, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, where he directed all aspects of municipal library and public gallery operations, including budgeting, grant writing, collections, programming, staff management, policy development, compliance, and provincial legislation, and providing administrative support and insights to the library board. Christopher's other work experience includes the lead archivist librarian with the Military Museum's 10th Battalion Museum Collection and Archives, a Learning Commons librarian and librarian consultant with the Calgary Catholic School District, and educational programming manager at the Fort Calgary Museum and Historical Site, a library branch supervisor with the Calgary Public Library, and a heritage coordinator with the Beltline Communities Association. Christopher also served as a commissioned military officer with the Canadian Armed Forces. So I want to extend a warm welcome to Wasaga Beach and to the province of Ontario.
Christopher, anything to say?
I think he said it all.
All right.
There you go.
Push that center button.
I just want to thank everyone for their kindness and council and as well everyone in town, and it's been wonderful so far, and really looking forward to it. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you, Christopher, and thank you for your service. We truly appreciate that, and what you learn about Wasaga Beach is we value our veterans and our military and first responders more than anyone else, I think. And so again, thank you for your service, and thank you for your service as our new librarian. And I see the chair and co-chair are here with us today. Kudos to you. Sounds like you got a pretty good hire here. Lots of experience, and as we know, the library is dealing with our archives and our history, and so that experience, I think, is going to be very valuable to the library and to the archives. So thank you, ladies, for your service, and to you and your board for, I don't know how you found this sharp, just guy, but we're confident, and I know he's had a busy first week. We've had a chance to have an opportunity to speak. Andrew and Christopher. Chris or Christopher, which do you prefer?
You can call me whatever you'd like.
Make sure that's on the record, Madam Clerk. All right, thank you. Okay, great. So, he's had a very busy first week, hit the ground running, and that's very positive. So again, Chris, welcome to the team. We're happy to have you on board, and to our library board, chair and co-chair, and your team, thank you very much. All right, we'll now move along to proclamations, which is item number 2, and 2.1 is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, June 15th, 2025. And the recommended motion that the council proclaim June 15, 2025 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day in the town of Wasaga Beach. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Eagle, seconded by Councillor Timms. All in favor? That carries unanimously. And I'll just make a note that Councillor White sends his regrets. He will be arriving late today as he has another matter related to his full-time job. All right, moving on to item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interests. I have none before me at this time. If at some point throughout the meeting you feel you have a pecuniary interest, please let us know at that time. Adoption of the agenda is recommended. The contents of the agenda of May 29, 2025 be approved as amended. Questions or comments? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor DeLeo and Councillor Belanger, all in favor? That carries unanimously. And moving on to approval of the minutes, 5.1, the regular meeting of council, May 15th, and that the minutes of council meeting held May 15th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Questions or comments on this? Seeing none, mover and a seconder for this, please. Councillor Timms and Deputy Mayor Snell, all in favor? All in favor? Perfect, thank you. Item number 6 is public meetings, and we have none today. Item number 7, presentations, there are none, and delegations, there are none. Moving on to item number 9, which is government relations, provincial announcement update, and I'll look to Andrew for this update. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems like last week, but it's already been 2 weeks since the Premier was here. For those who were not in attendance, or for those that may be listening that didn't catch the announcement, I know we've been doing our best to communicate it out over all of our social channels. But just as a quick reminder, I'll explain what was announced, and then I'll give you an update on what we've done since the announcement. So the Premier was here on May 16th. He announced $25 million in funding to revitalize Nancy Island. In addition to the funding, there will be a transfer of Nancy Island from Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks to the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Gaming, which we are thrilled with. We know from local precedent over in Discovery Harbor, when a similar transfer occurred quite a while ago, that really was the shot in the arm that really brought Discovery Harbor back to life. So we think this is a tremendous move. $11 million to fund Beach Drive. This is not a new announcement. It was actually announced a little while ago, but again, we are thankful for that funding. The big announcement that I think kind of flew under the radar, and we talked a little bit about this at the Ratepayers Association meeting last week, this is the transfer of lands. So Allenwood Beach, as you are all aware, and Director GM Lalonde will be talking about Allenwood in a few minutes. So the town's ownership of Allenwood has been confirmed. Through this announcement, the province will be deregulating Allenwood, which means they will be getting off of Allenwood, and full control will be in the hands of the town. In addition, they will be transferring New Wasaga Beach to the municipality and also deregulating New Wasaga. And then of real significance is provincial beach areas 1 and 2, which are immediately adjacent to the town-owned lands that we are working to revitalize, and all the exciting announcements with Stonebridge and Sunray. So Beach 1 and 2 will be coming into town ownership, and they will also be deregulating those lands. In addition to the transfer of lands and the deregulation, they will be providing the municipality with $2 million to create a plan for all these lands. In total, it's about 60 hectares of land that are being transferred to the town. Beach area 1 and 2, 60 acres of land that have development potential beyond the beach itself. The condition, the beach in front of area 1 and 2 must remain public, which we absolutely agree with, and that will be in perpetuity. So what we have done since this time, again, GM Lalonde will be presenting a report on Allenwood, so he will get into those details. We met this past Tuesday, so 2 days ago. A contingent from the Ministry of Tourism came up to meet with us, including the Assistant Deputy Minister. They are thrilled. They are so wonderful to work with. again, we've had a long-standing relationship with the Ministry of Tourism. They get Wasaga Beach, they understand what we're trying to do, and they want to lock arms with us to make it happen. So the whole meeting, the whole half day was just spectacular. We took them for a quick tour of Beach Area 1 and 2, as well as Nancy Island. In attendance was also a gentleman by the name of Will Baird. Will runs Discovery Harbor, and again, I know Jerry knows Will from a past life. I have to tell you, I was over the moon impressed with Will. His approach to Nancy Island is spot on. I think give Will a bit of time, and we are all going to restore our pride in Nancy, which has fizzled a little bit over the last couple of years, but he's got exciting ideas, exciting plans. What is going on currently, they've already mobilized on Nancy Island, so Infrastructure Ontario is doing a condition assessment of all of the buildings, all of the structures on the island. We know that some of them will likely have to be rebuilt, restored, or something new built. So the $25 million is intended for capital improvements. So I know that money will be spent. I don't know what exactly it will be spent on yet. That's the whole point of starting with the condition assessment. And then I know Will work with our community, with our council, with staff to prepare the plan for Nancy Island that will guide the investments that will be made over the coming years. In addition, we had a great talk about Beach Area 1 and 2 and the steps that we will take on that. We're going to be working very hard on a transfer payment agreement that will transfer the dollars from the province to the town. That'll happen quite quickly. It'll be $1 million in 2025, so that's already been approved, and another $1 million in 2026. The $1 million in 2025 is enough money to do the planning work, the upfront planning work. So we will mobilize on that very quickly. Katie Wardrop, our landscape architect, is going to be the project manager leading this under the guidance and influence of all of us. And I know we're all going to be right there. We all have ideas and thoughts. And I know Katie's excited about leading this tremendously important project. We're going to prepare an RFP quite quickly within the next couple of weeks, and the intention is to get that out on the street very soon to attract a multidisciplinary team that will work with the town, work with our community. It will be a community-based plan that we create. That's vitally important to guide what happens at Beach Area 1, 2, and we should probably, I know we were going to defer dealing with town Beach Area 2 until after the next election, but if we're at it and somebody's paying for the planning work, we might as well tackle that at the same time as part of an overall comprehensive master plan. It won't all get built in a year. This plan that we're going to create will be a phased plan, and we will see things evolve 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10, 10 plus, et cetera. Because I expect there will be some ambitious things in this plan that will require funding and working with the Ministry of Tourism to attract significant tourist attractions here. So exciting process. We're moving on it quickly, and more to come from us, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Andrew, questions or comments? Councillor Timms?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to say I couldn't be more excited about this initiative and the collaboration with the government. And honestly, I feel like it's Christmas every day. So thank you to staff for working so hard to bring it home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ego?
Thank you, and through Your Worship. Sorry. Yeah, I just honing in on the excitement here and the change for the beach. It's just paramount what's happening. And I'll just zero in on Nancy Island, I guess. I never was a big history buff, but I certainly have been since I moved here. And that's 20 years ago now, when I took young people there, and then I started to delve into it. And I've been screaming to everyone I have known lately about the history that is there on Nancy Island, especially with what is happening in the world today, and how important that was in 1812, and why we are Canada right here in the beach. And so I'm so excited about the working with the government on this one. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Belanger?
Yeah, through the mayor, I just want to congratulate staff because I think a great part of the success is that in some municipalities, they wait for grant funding to get started. I think a big reason why we were successful in getting the support of the province is that you were getting it done. We were well on our way without funding, and I think that impressed the Premier. And I just think that this is transformative for our community and very exciting. So thank you to all of our staff that have been involved and worked so hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everything's been said. What my counselor said, I agree. I think it's exciting, and our war veterans will be more honored, which is even better. So, thank you.
All right, Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Very, very exciting. And I think, you know, it was funny when we went to county conference last week and the mayor and I arrived early for breakfast. A couple of folks came up to us and said, wow, we're so happy you're able to take time from your exciting announcements to be able to attend the conference because it's literally like every week there's another great thing that's rolling out into the community. And you know, I'm so grateful to the province for seeing what we all see in this town and what people have always felt about this community, and for them doubling down in their investment and just jumping in so quickly and to so swiftly show up within 2 weeks with the team, boots on the ground, coming up with the plan. So incredibly grateful, so excited, and very appreciative to the staff. Thank you.
Anything to add, Andrew? All right. First of all, it is great to be on council and in this exciting time, but just keep in mind, council, that now we'll have weeks and months of planning and work where announcements won't be made, so people will be coming to you now and saying, what are you doing? But that's okay. I could not be more thrilled about Nancy Island. We've been working on trying to get Nancy Island for years back into the right ministry, if you will. It used to be in the Ministry of Tourism. It was a very vibrant spot at that time, and through the changes we've seen what we see today, but this is very exciting. That war, as most people in Wasaga Beach know, is pivotal to the reason why we are a British colony and not an American colony. It was a very important battle with Lieutenant Miller Worsley commanding the Nancy. I'll just get a couple of other things. You know, it's been mentioned in the agreement and by the province that the only condition here for these lands is that the beach will remain public. I think it's important to make very clear to our citizens and to the general public that no one understands better the vital importance of the beach front to our survival in this community. It is the heart and lungs of our community. And I can tell you, as long as I'm mayor, and confident as long as this council's in place, you will never see any part of that beach not be public. And for no other reason except anyone who gets elected in this municipality will quickly, if they don't already know, learn how vitally important, as I say, these lands are to remain public. It's the heart and soul. It's our tourism industry. It's our bread and butter, and it's our bread and butter for many families and businesses and our community for sure. So important that I think we touch on that. Destination Wasaga. What people should understand is that in the province of Ontario, there's only one other area that has destination in front of it when the province refers to them, and that's Destination Niagara. And the province has been working with that region for many, many years to make it a spectacular region, quite frankly. A lot of exciting things happening there on a regular basis. And the fact that they have now placed a destination in front of our name, Wasaga, I think is also very important for everyone to understand. And I guess most importantly, what you need to understand is, you've heard me say it many times, you know, politics is about building relationships and positive ones. And I'm quite happy and comfortable to say that we have done that, and we've done it very well. And we will continue to do that. And not just council, but our staff also believe and understand how important that is. And I can tell you that I was able to join in parts on Tuesday with the ministry and the folks that were here, and that relationship is very positive, very amicable, very team-like, if you will. Although it was the first day we seen them, they came here with a very positive attitude to work with us, and we have a very positive attitude to work with them to make great things happen. You know, this important relationship, I'll just touch on why it's so important. The Sunray Group is going to build a world-class hotel, Marriott Hotel, here in Wasaga Beach, along with 2 or 3 ancillary buildings that, you know, they're working to make quite spectacular. We were introduced to Sunray through the province and the Ministry of Tourism at what they call their Dragon's Den that they do every year, every other year, and Andrew and our Economic Development Officer, Caitlin Mosma, went down, and the province introduced them. They sat down, had some conversation, and here we are today. The province also has the ability to introduce us to other very attractive corporations who have the ability to make really good things happen in communities. And so we're going to continue to nurture that and work with the province in order to make good things happen. And I'll just end, I think it's very important to talk about Premier Ford. You know, I was able to meet one-on-one with Premier Ford at AMO last year. We had a very good discussion. We had our senior staff there. And it was clear and apparent to all of us in the room that he understood what it was we were looking to do. He understood that, you know, some changes had to be made in order to make good things happen here. And he told us that his staff would work with us to work with other ministries to make good things happen. And every time I have talked to him since, and that day I made it very clear to the Premier that I can talk all day long, every day, but until you actually come and see it, walk it, touch it and feel it, Mr. Premier, it's tough to really comprehend it. And so I was able to spend 45 minutes with the Premier, driving around our community, sharing the vision, showing him the properties that the province owned, which he was, although he knew there was a lot, he was completely blown away by how much there was. And of course, was very impressed with the vision and the plans and our staff. And our staff, a lot of our staff had an opportunity to meet the Premier as well. And I'm also happy to say that on his way out of town that day, he was going through the drive-through, him and his team, at the Dairy Queen. And one of the longtime employees at Dairy Queen, one of the managers, Hugo is his name, seeing the Premier in the back of his truck and said to him, "Mr. Premier, do you mind if I get a picture?" The Premier said, "Sure." And Hugo said, "I'll come out." He said, "No, I'll come in." So told his driver, "Go around, park the truck." The Premier went in, shook hands and took pictures with staff, so on and so forth. That says to me that this is a guy that just wants to, as he says, get it done. For all the right reasons. And I'm really thrilled to be able to have a positive relationship. First time this municipality has ever seen a sitting Premier come to our community. And he has promised he will be back, and he's looking forward to seeing this plan move forward and great things happening for Wasaga Beach, which is why they've made the changes they're making. So looking forward to working with everybody in future to do great things, and looking forward to seeing this plan come forward. And I'll end with, I have absolutely no doubt that we will have a great plan, and we will move forward at light speed, because we have a senior leadership team who is all about, as the Premier would say, getting it done. And I couldn't be more proud and more thankful to all of our team, not just the senior leadership, but every staff member in this community who is working their tails off to make good things happen. So I could preach all day about it, but we'll stop there for now. We do have a motion that the following consent list items under staff reports. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No motion there. Nothing else from staff. We'll move on then to item number 10, which is staff reports. And the following report items have been pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately, 10.3. And Councillor Timms would also like to comment on 10.2, which is a zoning bylaw amendment, file number Z04-22 2026 Mosley Street. Are there any other comments from council or staff with respect to the consent reports? Seeing none, we do have a recommended motion then that the following consent list items under staff reports and all recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding items pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Timms, seconded by Councillor Belanger. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 11, which is correspondence.
Sorry, Your Worship. Did Councillor Timms get to speak to the report?
Oh, okay, we'll have her do it now. I was going to do it when we started on those items, but Councillor Timms, go right ahead. This is with respect to item 10.4.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's in respect to 9026 Mosley Development, and I just want to start by saying that I'm very excited to see this redevelopment of that space happening. I live in that neighborhood, and I drive by there every day, and it's time for something fresh in that spot. I also want to thank Planner Joel Vines and our Manager of Planning, Trevor Houghton, for taking time to have a full and thoughtful conversation with me on several of my concerns relating to this development. I'm super grateful for that discussion, thank you. But as the proposal continues through the review process, I just did want to submit some comments for the record. First, regarding the noise and proposed car wash on the property, and I'm definitely planning on being a customer in that car wash. I understand that noise mitigation is intended to be addressed through the use of an onboard drying system that operates with the doors remaining closed throughout the entire wash cycle. While the manufacturer states that this design reduces noise discharge, there's no specific data or decibel levels provided. And I think this is an important issue because people will be living in that development, and it's relatively close to the townhouses. So I'm sure this is something that staff will be addressing as the process for this development goes through the cycle. The parking requirement reduction remains a concern for me, and while I'm very, very pleased, I must say, that there are going to be 10 residential units in that development, I feel that only one spot per tenant as currently allocated is going to be challenging, and I understand there's nothing that can really be done about that, but I'm concerned about overflow parking on surrounding streets and the impact of the functionality of the site. Lastly, I'm not an engineer, but I'm concerned with the reduction in the site triangle at the intersection of Puccini and 45th. As a regular user of this intersection, I find the visibility of that corner is already tricky due to the angle of the streets, and I sincerely hope that the reduction won't pose any safety risk to drivers and pedestrians. And I don't know if it's appropriate to ask this question, Your Worship, but has there ever been any thought to straightening out
Well,
that?
sorry, Councillor. My understanding is that this was for comment.
Okay.
So if you want to pull the item and speak to it, we
No.
could do that. Because then that would open the floor if you have questions, but it's for comment.
Okay, no, I'm satisfied, and thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Councillor. All right, then, we'll now move on to item number 11, which is correspondence items, and both correspondence items have been pulled and will be dealt with under matters for consideration, and that's 11.1 and 11.2. Item number 12 is minutes of boards and committees, and we do have a recommended motion that the consent list items under minutes and boards and committees be received for information. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Snell, seconded by Councillor DeLeo. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Under item number 13, matters for consideration. And we are at the Allenwood Beach update, and this was pulled by Deputy Mayor Snell. Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship. I wanted to pull it for a couple of reasons. I have some questions, but I really wanted to give Director Lalonde an opportunity to speak publicly. Your report was very extensive and exciting as the municipality takes on this new asset. Was just wondering if you could give a high-level sort of update on your report, or to speak to your report, and then I'll ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Mr. GM?
Sure, thank you, through your worship. So the report generally outlines the levels of service that are being proposed on behalf of Public Works and our team. You'll note in the report that it highlights generally what Ontario Parks have done out in the Allenwood Beach area over the years in terms of their maintenance standards. So with consideration of that, we've prepared a similar level of service, recognizing that at this time we're not recommending any additional staff. We're going to do our best to manage the beach within the levels of service and staffing that we do have, with the caveat that certainly we're going to monitor the impacts, if any, to our other core maintenance standards. But the report will outline, as it does, the inspection frequency, litter collection, beach raking, garbage and recycling collection. We have parking provisions through the clerk's office, as well as facility maintenance, because there are 2 existing washroom facilities within the limits of Allenwood. We do have a follow-up meeting with the Ontario Park Superintendent tomorrow to advance the transitional plans for beach maintenance. So we're looking forward to that. And just to Councillor Ego, and I know we've had some correspondence back and forth about our first efforts out there. Just for Council's information, we did spend 2 days out there a couple of weeks ago collecting deadfall and debris from the beach, and we took out 5 tandem loads of material the first time and 2 additional loads thereafter. And it took us about 5 or 6 hours to collect that and rake the beach, but we had 12 individuals out there to blitz that, just to get that level of service up to where we want it to be. But again, there's still dialogue and discussions happening with Ontario Parks about those transitional plans, but we're looking forward to the opportunity that is before us, and if there are any questions, certainly willing to answer those.
Thank you, GM Lalonde. Any other questions or comments, Deputy Mayor Snell?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, through you. And thank you for your staff out there. It looks night and day different than what it was before. And obviously, you know, like it's labor intensive and requires the investment initially to get it up to a standard that is acceptable for a tourism beach. But going forward, I would assume that it's not going to be quite that bad, you know, because we'll be maintaining it throughout. So that piece, and then also too, we are doing this because the province has confirmed that we own it. You know, obviously we've got New Wasaga, we've got these other pieces that Andrew spoke to that will be coming on board, but we can't do any maintenance on those right now or get them cleaned up until they're officially transferred to us, correct?
That's correct. This is specific to Allenwood Beach, given the vesting order and the confirmation of ownership. The balance of the beachfront lands have to go through the deregulation process, which could take several months, and so that needs to happen, as well as duty to consult before those lands will be transferred. So this year, this season, I guess, the summer will be specific to Allenwood Beach in terms of our levels of service and maintenance once the necessary agreements have been resolved.
Thank you, and just follow up. I think that's a really important piece for folks to understand, residents to understand, because of course, you know, those that live around New Wasaga, for example, you know, have seen that beach significantly decline with growth and vegetation and stuff on the space. So I'm sure they're chomping at the bit for us to get in there and do such a beautiful job as what Allenwood is, but everybody just needs to pack a little patience. I just have one more question for myself, and then Councillor White, in his absence, asked me to ask a question in this matter as well. So now that we have confirmed it's ours, it's municipally owned, I'm assuming the parking lot is municipally owned. So would residents be able to park with their free parking passes at Allenwood as an option as well as Beach 1 and 2?
Look to Andrew for the answer to that. Andrew?
I was actually going to ask council how you felt about that. Staff's recommendation would be yes. Currently, municipal parking passes apply to all town-owned parking areas, so this will be coming into the town's parking portfolio. So again, this is a question for council. If you're comfortable with that, then that is something that we could offer to the community.
Thank you, Andrew. Madam Clerk, are we going to need a resolution for that, or it's already includes all town lots, so I'm assuming it just happens and it's included as a town lot?
Thank you, and through your worship, you're absolutely correct. It would apply to all municipal lots unless council decides not to provide free parking at that location.
Okay. Anything else, Deputy Mayor Snell?
Yes, thank you. For myself personally, like I can totally appreciate, given, the investment, and we see the numbers in your report, Director Lalonde, that it's obviously going to require investment on our part to maintain this new asset to the standards that we expect. And we need every dollar from generated revenue from parking, but I feel that residents should be able to park there for free. Can you confirm, Director Lalonde, how many stalls you assume are there? I'm assuming that the province hasn't provided us any income yet, but is there anything in regards to that? And then I'll ask Councillor White's question.
Certainly through you, Your Worship. Aerial, just scaling the parking limits along Eastdale Drive, and assuming that people park at 3-meter increments, not perpendicular.
You know what happens when we assume, right?
Yes, yes. So the estimate was approximately, and 170 stalls is kind of what I came up with, and it could be less. But 170 stalls was generally what I believe is there, and that's from Eastdale, the easterly limit where the asphalt comes off of River Road East to where it wraps around and ties in with River Road East at Earl. So about 170 stalls was my quick back of the napkin estimate.
Excellent. That's exciting to have 170 more stalls for parking. This is Councillor White's question. He would like to know if the province shared any parking data with you, for instance, number of vehicles, revenue, or number of out-of-town visitors. If so, what does the revenue number look like for us? If not, what are your base assumptions for creating a revenue plan?
Andrew, you want to take this one? Kevin will be happy with that.
I'll start, and then if Kevin or Nicole want to add. I think Beach Area 1, Beach Area 2 are quite different from Allenwood Beach. I think Allenwood Beach is known, it's the secret spot for the locals. And it's not just locals from Wasaga Beach. I think a lot of folks in the counties, Springwater, I know a lot of residents from Elmville, that's their spot to go, is Allenwood Beach. So Allenwood Beach is really known as the family beach, more for locals. Beach Area 1, Beach Area 2 is where we get a lot of tourists coming. So I think the data at Beach Area 1 and 2 is probably skewed more towards day trippers from the GTA, whereas the data from Allenwood Beach would be more local in nature. That's why we, as staff, strongly recommend that the use of local resident parking passes for Allenwood is highly appropriate. And particularly with the construction going on down at the main end, this provides an area for folks to go to. But we think it will be strongly used by locals. In terms of arriving at revenue, this is going to be a learning year, particularly should council want parking passes to be able to be used there. It's a different approach than what the province has been using. So I think we can look at this, and I know Kevin has created some assumptions. I don't know that we need to share those publicly, but the numbers look good. I think it should cover expenses, but again, this is a trial year for us to understand the operational costs over at Allenwood, and then we can certainly report back at the end of the season and understand any implications that we might have to make in the future for changes. Thank you.
All good, Deputy Mayor Snell? All good, Councillor White? Yeah. Okay, good. Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to make a comment. I came across a photograph of the freshly raked beach, and it was so positively received on Facebook, so positively received by the community. The excitement of that beach being cleaned up was quite extraordinary. So in case you missed it, there's a positive buzz out there about it.
All right, thank you. Councillor Ego?
Thank you, and thank you through your worship. Well, yes, not just one Christmas arrived at Allenwood Beach, a whole bunch of Christmases arrived. And of course, we're excited down there, but this is for the residents of all the town, and I really want to express that. I've witnessed so many times people wanting to come down just to watch a sunset, and it's difficult. It's ropes to go through, not literally. So to think that residents can come down just to watch a sunset or sit for a few minutes without the hassle of a parking meter and all of that is Christmas in itself. And yes, I have been out of town through this past week with all this excitement, but I was on that beach yesterday morning at 6:30, and I went, wow, it looks like a beach. And no wonder people are excited and writing in on Facebook. It really does. It was, and I've never been adverse to a log or that type of thing. I love the outdoors, but to see that beach and walk on it and feel it, and the space for people. Actually, there's more space now than there would have been in the last couple of years, just because of the cleaning up. And yes, we're still protecting the environment down there. So all of that is being, a gift to all of us, but for all of the town. And on parking, I believe you're right, many people, and I'm already receiving notes, and I'm sure council is, well, we live in Springwater, can't we get special passes? And, this is our beach, so Barrie, Elmvale, all that area has often come into there, and they still will, and more so. So kudos to everyone on this. Kevin, your crew have just done amazing down there, and it bodes well for all of the residents here. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ego. Councillor Blanchet?
Yes, thank you through the mayor. My question was answered about New Wasaga, but I just want to emphasize that there's many, many residents there that will be very envious now of Allenwood Beach, because they certainly need the same cleanup when that's possible. But my other comment is Allenwood Beach is very popular for those, what do kites say? Kite boards. And, many of those folks probably specifically bought provincial park passes to park there. So I know we're going to put up signing and everything else, but, we may want to have a first offense kind of thing there. I don't know, but I've been there when there's 20 or 25 kiteboards out on the water. So anyhow, that's it. Thank you.
Andrew?
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on the comment from Councillor Blanchet and Deputy Mayor Snell. I did have a contingent of folks from New Wasaga come see me on my Monday morning open sessions. And yes, we've definitely raised the bar, and Kevin's team did an awesome job, quite frankly, to get in there and have it looking that spectacular in such a short period of time. Now the folks on the other side of the creek are saying, well, we want our beach to look like that. So we were very clear, we can't do that just yet. I don't have a timeline for when we will have the lands in our control. I'm hearing rumors September, so it likely will not be this summer. So for any residents listening that live in New Wasaga, we likely won't be able to raise it to that level until after we have ownership, which probably won't be until the fall. So the good news is for next summer, it should be able to be in this kind of shape, but please understand, we don't control that beach today. With respect to kiteboarding, I've had many conversations with Councillor Ego on this issue. I'm a former windsurfer myself. There is an area that has been designated for that activity. So as part of the agreement that we will sign with the province, the town will take over responsibility for water safety. So that will be something that the town will look to control. And I'm sure we'll have many conversations about, is it appropriate? If it is, where should it be located? So that it's not happening everywhere, because it can be a little dangerous for small children and people enjoying the water to have kiteboarders whipping in amongst the swimmers. So we'll be very cognizant of that issue and make sure that it's dealt with appropriately.
All right, any other questions or comments from members of council? Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Just to sort of circle back to Councillor Blanchet's question, about the provincial parking passes, I didn't even think about that. What do you think the strategy for staff will be in regards to that if somebody comes and displays a provincial parking pass?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, my understanding is that the province, anyone that has purchased a pass, they've been notified that they're no longer valid. So the province is not currently selling passes that would apply to Allenwood Beach, so they would not be honored. You would need to pay for parking. And Nicole, is there anything to add?
And we will work with people. We'll ensure that communication is out, I think, from the town as well, that if you did purchase an Ontario Park Pass, that it is not applicable at Allenwood, and just have a communication strategy to the province on how they can get reimbursed if they did purchase one.
I would assume that the MECP would have made those folks aware and reimbursed their money already, correct?
It's hard to say because when you buy a provincial parks pass, you're purchasing it for the province. So you're not necessarily purchasing it for Allenwood Beach. So they would still be able to use their park pass in Beach Area 3, 4, 5, 6, as well as any other provincial park in the province. So I don't know if they would necessarily offer a refund, but they may just make people aware if you're looking to park at Allenwood, your pass is no longer valid at Allenwood.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we do have the next item. Pardon me. Sorry, we had the motion, recommended motion that the report titled Allenwood Beach Operational Update to the council meeting of May 29, 2025 be received, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute an operation use agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario as presented by the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks, subject to technical review by the CAO and General Manager of Infrastructure, Services and legal review by the town solicitor, and that council approve the unbudgeted amount of $20,000 to be funded from in-year surplus or general reserves if required for 2025 operations at Allenwood Beach. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Eagle, seconded by Councillor Timms. All in favor? That carries unanimous.
Worship,
sorry, it's a recorded vote. My
Thank you. Councillor Belanger.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Eagle.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
in favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. The next item is the Town of LaSalle letter dated February 4, 2025, Northern Health Travel Grant Program, and this was pulled by Councillor DeLeo. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I would like to send a letter of support regarding Northern Health Grant Program for the town of LaSalle. Now, if I can get a seconder, I'd like to speak to it. Thank you.
All right, we have a seconder, Deputy Mayor Snell, and moved by Councillor DeLeo. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you.
Sorry, I do have a proposed motion that will be tabled. Bear with me. You're moving too fast for me. 1 second. That the Town of Wasaga Beach Council supports the Town of LaSalle call upon the provincial government and Ministry of Health to establish a grant system similar to the Northern Health Travel Grant Program in Windsor-Essex County to provide support to the residents of Windsor-Essex when they need to travel long distances for specialized medical services or procedures at ministry-funded healthcare facilities. And that this motion be circulated to all municipalities for support. Premier Doug Ford, MPP Anthony Liardi, MPP Andrew Dowie, Minister of Health, and Deputy Premier Ms. Sylvia Jones, and all local municipalities. And further, that staff inquire on whether Simcoe County has a similar program.
All right. Go ahead, Councillor. You want to speak to this?
Thank you. Well, a lot was said, but Northern Health Travel Grant Program offers financial assistance to Northern Ontario residents who need to travel long distances for specialized medical services or procedures at a ministry-funded healthcare facility. The grants for this program are based on the distance residents must travel to reach the nearest medical specialist or ministry-funded healthcare facility. Residents must travel at least 100 kilometers one way to access the nearest medical specialist or ministry-funded healthcare facility for services that are not available locally to qualify for the grant. Therefore, I support the request from Windsor-Essex County asking for this program for their county. Every Canadian should have access to hospitals, and since there are communities that don't offer specialized hospitals in their areas, they should be given a grant to help them get there. Financial strains should not be an issue when one seeks medical help. Further, that staff inquire if Simcoe County has a similar program. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, questions or comments from members of council on this? Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I think it's great to lend support, and an excellent idea to look into the county to see if it's available, and then we can put a communications plan to our residents as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this matter? All right. I'm assuming that this is if they travel on their own. If they're taken by ambulance or any other way, then it doesn't apply, correct? Okay. All right. You've heard the motion. We have a mover. A mover is Councillor DeLeo. Do we have a seconder for this motion? You seconded to get it on the floor. You're going to second the motion as well? Yes. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Blanchet.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And moving on to the next item is the request to consider consent of County of Simcoe Bylaw 7119-25 to change the composition of County Council, and this was pulled by Deputy Mayor Snell. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. It's a very important matter that I feel, requires to come onto the table the floor in order to be discussed by everybody and given feedback. I have the privilege as deputy to sit on county council, and it's been an amazing experience. I love it a lot. And it's interesting to see the level of discussion that happens around very, very important, critical pieces and services that our residents benefit from by being our upper tier government. Currently, as we're all aware, it's 32 folks that sit on it, mayor and deputy mayor from the 16 municipalities and 2 separated cities. And when you get that level of folks in the room talking about governance of a $962 million annual budget, almost $1 billion, it's amazing how many different minds and perspectives and suggestions that come into play. And my opinion is I feel that we should reject this. I don't think we should change county composition. I think it has worked really, really well. It works very, very well. And what's important for folks to understand as well is that, yes, you have county council every 2 weeks where you meet as council to make decisions and to provide the governance, but there's a lot of work that goes on in the background. Just as we have our working committees and standing committees, on county council there are 15 internal committees which require 66 councillor positions, and then there's also 6 external committees which are another 10 positions. So clearly a tremendous amount of work to be done. And my concern, if you split that body in half, is now the amount of work that then gets applied to those folks, half those folks, so 16 folks, and also to, in regards to losing the experience in the room, because everybody comes from a diverse background. And so you have people that have very deep corporate knowledge, you have people that have great business acumen, you have people that are community service or in education or in healthcare that bring their own level of expertise to the conversation. And by cutting that talent in half, I think is very, very concerning. And I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Snell. Next, I have Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, I gave this matter a lot of thought. I even made a point of attending the public meeting at the county where this change was discussed, and to be honest, I went into that meeting with one opinion, and I left with a very different perspective after hearing thoughtful and opposing views. One of my biggest concerns is the impact this reduction will have on the work of the committees, which Deputy Mayor has discussed. With fewer council members available, committee participation will suffer. Committees are where much of the in-depth policy work happens. I'm also concerned about the increased demands this places on mayors. We all see how many days each week our own mayor devotes to this municipal responsibilities in what is considered a part-time position. Asking mayors to fully represent their municipalities at both the local and county levels without the support of a deputy mayor at the table stretches them far too thin, in my opinion. How can they realistically give county issues the attention it deserves while also leading their own community? Another key issue for me is gender balance. Currently, there are 5 of 16 mayors in Simcoe County that are women. Among the deputy mayors, only 3 are women. That's 8 out of 32 leadership roles, or just 25% held by women. By removing the deputy mayors from county council, we're eliminating opportunities for broader and more equitable representation, while if anything, we should be working to improve gender balance, not diminish it. That said, I do support the idea of a full-time warden for Simcoe County. I believe the complexity and size of this region warrants a dedicated full-time head of council. However, I would strongly prefer to see that position filled through a direct election by the public rather than by an appointment from within county council. If we want to strengthen leadership at county level, that role should have a clear democratic mandate from the residents. In the light of all these concerns, committee capacity, leadership workload, representation, and governance transparency, I support county council composition as it currently stands.
All right, thank you, Councillor Timms. Councillor Ego?
Thank you, and through your worship, thank you, Councillor Tibbs, for that really in-depth study you did on it. I appreciate it, and listening to Deputy Snell as well. I had 2, started with one opinion, but the more I've read, listened to, part of me thinks this should be at the provincial level, but it isn't, so I'm not willing to take that fight on. And I just think, especially the number of people involved, and I get that more brains, more ideas, and I do see the amount of work here that our mayor and deputy mayor do on that council. So for those reasons, and listening to this, I support it being as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ego. Councillor Belanger?
Thank you, through the mayor. I support the current structure. I think all the points that have been made, I agree with. I would just say that I have been the alternate this term of council and have attended county council a number of times, and certainly understand the gravity of some of the decisions and the amount of committee work that's being done. And I too had the concern that, you know, if you reduced it to just mayors, the amount of commitment that the mayors would have to make to the county and be pulled away from their own responsibility of their local municipality would be increased. It's now shared between mayor and deputy mayor. And so I fully support the full-time warden and the current structure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I only have one question. When, if they do decide to change it, when do they want to implement it? Like now?
So if the 2/3 majority vote should go through at the municipal level, and everything else is completed at the county level, this would take effect next term of council. All right. Any questions? Welcome, Councillor White. Glad to see you're back. No other questions. I'll then make my comments. You know, when I first sat on county council in 2014, I immediately thought at that point that, you know, this is ludicrous having 32 people sitting around the table here. But I can tell you, it didn't take me long after being there and seeing the amount of work that is involved. And just for the naysayers out there, I don't think myself or the deputy or any other member of county council, or this council for that reason, is ever complaining about the workload. We all put our hands up. We should have done our homework and known the amount of work that was involved. But it's important for the public to know that it is an enormous amount of work. It's not uncommon, for example, at county council, to have 1,000 or more pages to read with reports and everything else, depending on the schedule. It's often less than that, but it's still quite a bit. There are several committees, as the deputy mayor has mentioned. I co-chair the governance committee. I co-chair part of the weekly meeting, which is human services. I sit on the governance committee, not co-chair it, sorry. I sit on the audit and finance committee and the Simcoe County Housing Corporation, along with just regular everyday county council. And there are many councillors, most councillors belong to more than one committee plus county council. What's important to understand, and what made me realize that it was important to have 32 people, is it's not uncommon. I wouldn't say it's common, but it's not uncommon when debate is taking place to see mayors and deputy mayors who don't vote in the same direction. They often have different viewpoints and believe differently about whatever it is we're talking about. And so what does that mean? It means that we have really fulsome debate often, especially if it has to do with waste management or a couple of others, but it's a good fulsome debate. And what does that mean? I think it means we come up with a much better solution, and we do much better. And here's what we all have to remember. The motto of the County of Simcoe is for the greater good. And each and every member of this council took an oath to this municipality. When you sit on county council, you also take an oath to the county. So when we're sitting at the county table, we're not thinking about Wasaga Beach specific. We are thinking about what is best for the county as a whole. We have almost $1 billion budget, I think $980,000 or $80 million. It'll soon be well over $1 billion. This change in council composition from 32 to 16 is about 1/2% of the budget. It really is not a large amount on the total budget in any way, shape, or form. But what does the county look after? Well, we look after the real big, important things within the County of Simcoe that often mean the most to many of our residents. Long-term care, affordable housing, daycare, paramedics, homelessness and assistance to the less fortunate and the more vulnerable. Our forestry, we have thousands of acres of forest that we manage. Waste management, all of the garbage collection that goes on is looked after by the county. These, and never mind the thousands of kilometers of roads, county roads throughout the County of Simcoe, all those bridges. It is a massive undertaking, and it's why we have these upper tiers, because these are very complex and often difficult areas to look after. We're blessed at the county, just like we're blessed at the town, to have excellent staff who make these good things happen every day. But they do that under the guidance of council. And I wholeheartedly believe in this case that the County of Simcoe has worked as well as it has, a big part because of there's 32 people around that table and 32 opinions, and the Deputy Mayor touched on, expert opinions and so on and so forth. I'll also say that the composition of County Council, I think, is probably debated and dealt with at County Council every single term of council. It's been an ongoing thing for a long time. It has never come this far, but it certainly has been debated, and each time the decision was made to keep County Council at 32 members. And that says to me it's because of the wisdom around that table that the vast majority of people realized this is what works and works really well. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. That's just to prove upon it. So I would urge council to not support reducing county council, and I'll leave it at that. So we do have a recommended motion. I'm going to pass it over to our clerk for that. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. So should a council member wish to support the bylaw from the County of Simcoe, the County Clerk has proposed wording which states that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach consents to the County of Simcoe bylaw 7119-25 being a bylaw to change the composition of council of the corporation of the County of Simcoe, and that a copy of the resolution be sent to the County Clerk. I would recommend that if a council member would like to vote against this, that simply the motion reads that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach does not consent to the County of Simcoe bylaw, being a bylaw to change the composition of council of the corporation of the County of Simcoe, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to the County Clerk.
So then for clarity, Madam Clerk, the recommended motion sent by the county clerk, if I understood you correctly, was to request to consider consent of the County of Simcoe, and that we do consent. If we vote on that and it passes, it says we consent. If we vote on that and it doesn't pass, does that not say we don't consent?
That's absolutely correct, Your Worship. And just to be clear, the county clerk stated that should council want to consent, he proposed the wording.
Okay.
Yes.
right.
So, but hearing the discussion around this council table, I believe that council does not want to consent. So I would go with the second motion that I did read.
Okay. So could you just read it one more time then for council?
Absolutely, Your Worship. That the council of the town of Wasaga Beach does not consent to the County of Simcoe bylaw 7119-25 being a bylaw to change the composition of council of the corporation of the County of Simcoe, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to the county clerk.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You've heard the question. Any other questions or comments on the question? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Timms. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Belanger, excuse me.
I approve the current structure.
Yes.
It's you agree or you don't agree, and this is saying that we do not consent to the change. So then I think what you're saying is yes to this, correct? Okay.
Thank you. Councillor DeLeo.
Approved.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
That carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We're now moving on to item number 14, recommendations arising from boards and committees, and we have none. Item number 15 is council requested staff reports. You've seen the list attached. Any questions or comments on staff reports? Seeing none, moving on to item number 16, notices of motion. Is there anyone here who wishes to put forth a notice of motion? All right, seeing none, moving on then to item number 17, which is a motion where notice has been provided, and 17.1 is Councillor DeLeo's notice of motion, re-strong mayor's legislation, and I'll turn the floor over to Councillor DeLeo to read her motion.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Ontario government has expanded the strong mayor powers to 169 additional municipalities under the proposed legislation, which grants mayors in these municipalities enhanced authority. And whereas these rules have raised significant concerns from elected officials and members of the public across the province regarding the control of power, loss of local democracy, reduced accountability, and the potential for the abuse of power. And whereas the members of this council were duly elected as officials by the citizens of the town of Wasaga Beach with the awareness of one vote per council member, and that majority votes are the democratic process. Therefore, be it resolved that the council of the town of Wasaga Beach opposes the expansion and utilization of strong mayor powers, and further that such powers are no longer sanctioned or utilized by the town of Wasaga Beach Mayor Brian Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DeLeo. We will need a seconder to get this on the floor. Seconded by Councillor White, moved by Councillor DeLeo. All right, Councillor, you wish to speak to this? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Last council meeting, I basically stated why, but just to make it clear, when Premier Ford introduced this months ago, the very first time, I was strongly opposed to that from day one. So I firmly believe that the strong mayor powers undermines the value of collaboration between the mayor, councillors, and staff. Increasing the powers of the mayor to push forward provincial priorities would eliminate shared decision-making, creative diverseness at the council table, and blur the lines between administrative and political roles. Now, last couple of days, I've been reading up with the municipal world, and there were several articles in there that I want to point out. So I'm going to be quoting here. So all of us are in a similar position. Thanks to the province for offering this, but we're good. says Blind River Mayor Sally Hagman. You are as strong as your council, and for that reason, I won't be exercising my strong mayor powers, says Hagman. A Democratic vote of 7 people appears to work. She says it's the kind of authority that could sow division within the council chambers and that councillors would walk depending on the circumstances. The head of council in Cobalt also worries about what this could mean for the democratic process. Quote, it's supposed to be one vote around the table for everybody, says Mayor Angela Adshed. You give one person the power to veto anything, that's going to discourage people from running for council. Next. I'm enraged right now, and I'm livid that this is even a thing because it takes away and erodes democracy, says the mayor of the town of Essex in an online video post. What is the point in having councils? What is the point in having elections if the mayor can veto budgets, fire staff, and just do whatever they feel they want to do? One more. The deputy mayor for the town of Tecumseh says the expansion of powers weakens local democracy. I believe in collaborative governance and am strongly opposed to this legislation, says Joe Bacchetti, who's also Essex County's deputy warden. Leamington's Mayor Hilda McDonald says she'll respectfully decline the minister's offer of strong mayor powers. I'm hoping this message gets through to the province and they will have a change of heart, she says. McDonald, who also was a councillor earlier in her political career, says councillors should represent all voices in the community and decisions should be made together. I feel that I am part of a council that makes a collaborative decision, and I agree the majority is the way that the vote goes. I don't feel that should be within the perimeters of a mayor's rights. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor DeLeo. Other questions or comments? Councillor Tim?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I gave this a lot of thought as well. I fully understand and respect the concerns raised by Councillor DeLeo about the expansion of strong mayor powers across the province. These are real and valid worries about the concentration of authority, the potential loss of local democratic input, and the risk of reduced accountability. They are not issues we should take lightly. That said, I believe this motion does not reflect the current reality in Wasaga Beach. Our mayor has been very clear, publicly and repeatedly, that he has no intention of using these powers. He's committed to keeping the collaborative structure we have where council makes decisions together and every member has an equal voice. I take him at his word and I trust his leadership. To me, this motion feels more symbolic than practical. We're addressing an issue that here in our town has not become a problem. Council is functioning well and working respectfully as a team. I feel there's a bigger concern here. Passing this motion could send the wrong message, and not just to the province, but to our own residents. It implies there's a lack of trust or an issue with how we're governing, when in reality we're seeing cooperation and responsible leadership. I'm also concerned that this motion might unintentionally tie the hands of future councils or mayors who may face different circumstances and may need flexibility to act in the best interest of the community. Governance should be based on principle, but also on trust in the people elected to serve and the processes in place to hold them accountable. So in summary, Mayor Smith has made clear and commendable commitment to not using these powers. Our current system is working, it's democratic, inclusive, and balanced. I feel this motion is unnecessary at this time and may limit future decision-making without cause, and for those reasons, I will be voting against the motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Timms. Councillor White?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. And wow, that was a well-prepared comment. And I agree with a lot with what Councillor Timms has just said. I also agree a lot with what Councillor DeLeo has laid out. And this is a very tricky issue. While we look at it here in Wasaga Beach, you're right, we don't necessarily have these issues today, but might we have them tomorrow? I'm not too sure. I would love to know if there are some checks and balances that Council does have to mitigate or even stop abuse of this power by a mayor should that happen. Not that I'm suggesting that for here, but I'm just saying, you know, what does our council as well as other councils have to protect their communities? And again, this isn't just about what happens in our community. I understand this might not be something that's so important for our community, but there are other communities in the province that we're also encouraging to adopt our stance or to join their fight against this. So I guess my question would be to the clerk, if there are measures that can be done by a council to restore some balance of power, and also, acknowledge that this is also maybe a political issue for, a mayor's election campaign. I would imagine that any mayor, their campaign in the future would definitely address this topic specifically in their campaigns to make sure that, the people can hold them to account to the words of their campaign. So I'll leave it there, and I'll wait for an answer from the clerk if that's okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor Belanger?
Yes, through the mayor. I'm given it a lot of thought as to, why this came forward. And we're a council at large, so we represent our entire community. And as a result, if a specific area of our town, like the beachfront, that is the lungs and our economic driver, we can all support that. But in some councils where you have a ward system, and a particular part of the town may be the priority, you could have many councils run interference or oppose it because it's not in their ward, and it could be perceived by the residents in their ward that they're not looking after their ward properly. So I can certainly see there's circumstances where a mayor's power might be required to move forward important development, and we have to trust that when you put your hand up to represent a community, that you have the best of the community at heart. So I can certainly see instances where this may move a community forward where it otherwise couldn't, but I'm most concerned that it's not a problem here. Like, I applaud our mayor who has turned that authority over to the entire council and to our CAO, and I certainly I will not be supporting the motion at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. Councillor Eagle?
Thank you, and through your worship. Yes, I guess I'm wondering too why we're asking for this now. I don't understand. Our mayor, delegated his authority back. We're the envy, I think, of every other municipality around. We have the most open council and meeting and a mayor that is respected. And I just don't like this feeling right now. And my other question is, just say it were ever changed. Cannot the next mayor and council do a bylaw to revert things back to the way they were? So those are the things I do not understand, so I could not possibly support this motion for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm just going to look to our clerk because I think you had a question there. So, Madam Clerk, can you answer that question for Councillor Ego? She was asking basically, correct me if I'm wrong, well, you know what, Councillor? You asked the question.
Thanks. Well, I've noticed, councils make bylaws and changes. Could this ever, another mayor comes in, say we don't pass it, or we do, whatever, can this become a bylaw that can be reverted back to give a mayor power, or does it go through the Government of Ontario? How does that work? Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll do my best to answer that question directly. So it's important to note that this legislation was created by the province, and it was provided as a tool to the heads of council to reduce red tape and allow municipalities to quickly support the municipal and provincial priorities. So you'll remember in the report that I brought to council last week, it indicated that those provincial priorities are outlined in the Ontario regulation, and it relates to transit, road, utilities, and essentially building more homes. So we cannot give these powers back, to put it quite simply. To say that the powers are no longer sanctioned, we're creatures of the province, that's not something that the municipality can do. The mayor has delegated a lot of his powers back, the ones that were able to be delegated, as noted by him, his worship last meeting. There's other powers that I outlined in the report that come from the legislation. that allows the mayor to introduce bylaws to advance municipal and provincial priorities. And it also allows council to veto that bylaw as well. Those authorities were provided in that report, and there's also training provided by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing that I encourage council to participate in to really fully understand. The legislation is new. It's a little bit convoluted. However, the training that's being provided really assist council in understanding the legislation and why that tool has been provided to heads of council. And it's extremely important to be able to provide and move provincial and municipal priorities forward.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, Councillor. All right, Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, a lot of my points have been covered, so I won't repeat. But to the clerk's point, that was an issue that I had, was the final further that such powers are no longer sanctioned or utilized by the town of Wasaga Beach Mayor Brian Smith. That didn't make any legal sense to me. We're governed by the province and legislation, so we can't just reject legislation, just like Bill 17 with the DCs. We can't say we're not going to support that and we're going to take these DCs anyways, right? So I think that, to point, that's why it's kind of good to vet motions through the clerk to just make sure they pass what actually is able to be done. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Any other questions or comments? Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So listening around this table, it was nothing personal towards our mayor, as I still want to point out. It was just the whole legislation in itself. It's undemocratic. But at this point, I'm going to take the mayor's word that he's not going to use these powers. And I'm hoping, next election, whoever gets in, they don't start using the powers. That was one of my other biggest concerns. So at this time, Madam Clerk, I'll withdraw that motion, if I may.
I think, Madam Clerk, it's on the floor. We have to deal with it, correct?
The mover can withdraw.
Okay, good. All right. So you wish to withdraw that motion?
I do.
All right. Thank you, Councillor DeLeo. Any other comments or questions from council? All right. Seeing none, then we will move on to item number 18, which is closed session. But before we go into close, I'm going to look to our clerk for some comments. Madam Clerk.
Your Worship, it's just a note that the agenda states for item 18.1.1 that we will be entering closed session for a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land. Staff are adding exemption section 239(2)F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And we'll now Deputy Mayor Snell, a question?
My apologies, Your Worship. We had discussed this before to share the announcement about Peter and Rita Bremich and the matching of the 10,000. Can I do that while we're in opens for public awareness?
So,
my apologies for not having coordinated in advance.
That is fine. I'm going to look to the clerk for guidance here. This is not an item on the agenda, and we don't have a section for that. So my concern is if we do, we kind of set a precedent, and we'll be, having announcements after announcements after announcements coming forth. So, Madam Clerk, your thoughts?
I'm wondering if this is perhaps an initiative that we could look to our communications team or being able to message that way. I do agree with His Worship that this is not an agenda item that we typically would entertain. For lack of a better word, we don't have a new business or an announcement section on this agenda.
Okay, so maybe if you're okay, Deputy Mayor Snell, we'll chat with communications afterwards, or we can also possibly get it on the next agenda if not, but good with that? Okay, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Okay, we're now going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let's take 10 minutes, and then we'll come back into closed session. But I do have a motion for that the pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the next portion of the May 29th, 2025 council meeting will move into closed session to consider the following matters. Item 18.1.1, proposed disposition acquisition of land. And item number, Madam Clerk?
The 239F. 2F.
239F.
2F, yeah.
239 2F.
of the municipal act.
of the municipal act with respect to a legal matter.
Yes.
All right, solicitor-client privilege.
Yes, it's the same item, we're just adding an exemption. There's
okay.
only one item to be discussed in
That's right.
closed.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Deputy Mayor Snell. All in favor? Carries unanimously. All right, 10 minutes, and we'll come back in close. Thank you.
We're live, Your Worship.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and welcome back, everybody. We just coming out of closed session, and we have a rising report from our clerk. Nicole?
Thank you, Your Worship. Council entered closed session on May 29th at 11:25 a.m. to discuss the following item: 18.1.1, proposed disposition acquisition of lands in accordance with Section 239(2)C and Section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act. As a result of that discussion, staff direction was provided. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and we now go on to item number 20 on the agenda. The closed session rising report was 19, and we have some bylaws. Recommended motion that the following bylaws be received and to be deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. 20.1, 2025-20, a bylaw to establish and name as public highway and to assume certain streets and accept the associated services in the town of Wasaga Beach for the Wasaga Meadows Wally Drive extension. 20.2, 2025-21, a bylaw to amend the Town of Wasaga Beach Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw number 2003-60 as amended. And 20.3, 2025-22, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Wasaga Beach at its regular council meeting held Thursday, May 29, 2025. Questions or comments? Seeing none, a mover and a seconder for this, please. Deputy Mayor Snell and Councillor White, all in favor. That carries unanimously, and this meeting is adjourned.